Newzroom Africa's senior politics reporter Ziyanda Ngcobo is live for us there in Washington, D.C. Ziyanda, things moving so fast and, of course, so much anticipation to get to what will come out of that meeting. But a lot of backroom discussions or background discussions happening at the moment. What's the latest, particularly where the Starlink matter is concerned?
There has been an update, Naledi. You'll recall in the last hour we spoke about how Elon Musk's team is insisting on getting something in writing from the South African delegation when it comes to being able to work and operate in South Africa, Starlink, that is. And we understand at this stage that Solly Malatsi was supposed to have gazetted this issue of a policy directive for an equity equivalent program, which is what some have termed the roundabout way to circumvent our BEE laws. It's not illegal to have an equity equivalent program. Multinationals use it all the time. And what it looks like is when a multinational either engages in empowerment kind of programs, teaming up with the local network, doing things in the community, either, building, tech infrastructure, for an example, if this were to be the case with Elon Musk. But there's also a sense that within Elon Musk's team, his comments that he made at that forum, we just played that bite, might have actually made things a little bit more difficult. So you'll recall that earlier on, Bloomberg was reporting that a deal is already on the table before Trump meets with President Cyril Ramaphosa. And the South African delegation, I've reached out to them. They're saying that, it's clear that that story was planted by Musk himself and that he's trying to make this entire gathering, this working visit by President Cyril Ramaphosa about himself and not about the country, and hence him using that platform in Qatar to speak about not being able to operate in South Africa because he's not black. Race-based laws is something that he's used many times. And, some in the South African delegation pointing to how the app's own Grok AI chatbot really speaking out against Musk's own manipulation of the app, which was formerly Twitter, where Grok actually exposed Elon Musk and those operating that particular app, that it has been designed to perpetuate this white genocide narrative, which is, of course, a right-wing conspiracy in essence. So from the South African delegation side, they feel that a deal has already been sealed at this stage, but we're again, Musk's side of things maintaining that they want something in writing. Otherwise, there could be a blow-up in that Oval Office behind us tomorrow.
Yeah. And that deadline for our own team, very close, for close of business today, to have that agreement in writing.
Well, not necessarily close of business, I'd say. I'd say close of business, not close of business in the formal sense, but close of business as in before the president arrives here at the White House tomorrow, which is going to be at around 11:30 local time. That's when that meeting is set to take place, and we're expected to be in there early tomorrow morning. And so, you'd want to have all your ducks in a row. But I mean, Naledi, over the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about how, days, I should say, not weeks, because Trump only announced that he's receiving a South African delegation last Monday. But over the last couple of days, I mean, the issue of Starlink was not at the top of the agenda. That's why some within the South African delegation are saying that this is an attempt by Elon Musk through the media to put himself firmly at the top of the agenda of something that has got nothing to do with him, that this is about resetting bilateral relations. But of course, it speaks to our own domestic politics at home, where we have a communications minister led by the Democratic Alliance, where the Democratic Alliance recently challenged our employment equity laws in court and using similar language about race-based laws in its press briefing before going to the North Gauteng High Court in Pretoria. And then you have a Deputy Minister in Communications, Mondli Gugubele, who comes from a completely different school of thought. And the big thing here is about South Africa's sovereignty? Are we bending over backwards just to accommodate Musk? And to what end, really, especially now that there's talk that the relationship between Musk and Trump isn't what it used to be. So there are a lot of things taking place here, and we anticipate that well into the night, maybe into the early hours of this morning, there'll be a lot of these kind of backdoor discussions taking place.
Yeah. Help us with the logistics here, Ziyanda, so that we're able also to set those reminders to watch out for that meeting tomorrow, the time that it's expected to take place here for South Africans. And just as you talk about the relationship between Elon Musk and Donald Trump being on shaky waters, then the curiosity becomes, who do we expect to see in that meeting tomorrow?
Marco Rubio, U.S. Secretary of State, is definitely set to be there. Even Elon Musk himself looks set to be in the room tomorrow in the Oval Office. 11:30 is the time that we have been given by the South African government as to when that meeting will get underway. It's unclear if that's when the press conference will be taking place or whether or not that's the starting time of the tete-a-tete between Ramaphosa and Trump. But certainly at around 5:30 local time in South Africa, that's when we can anticipate to get things moving. But again, the South African delegation having Agriculture Minister John Steenhuisen, Ronald Lamola, Khumbudzo Ntshavheni, as well as Park Stawu, who is, by the way, the custodian of, in terms of the formula that is used to actually outline how an equity equivalent program is set out. It's the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition that sets out those rules of engagement. So he has been very critical. He had his own bilateral yesterday with his U.S. counterpart alongside John Steenhuisen. So they are the ones who are really going to be putting shoulders to the wheel and tightening up those deals. And that's why we are hearing that there's an insistence from Elon Musk and his people to say, give us something in writing, South Africa, about how Starlink can operate in South Africa.
I must bring this in, Ziyanda, before I let you go. You did have a conversation with the president earlier, and so much of the discussion and the buzz here in South Africa is if we're going to see a Zelensky-style meeting, a big concern, and that is one of the things you were able to ask the president, is there fear of a humiliation? Talk to us about that reaction from the president.
Well, he didn't want to talk about himself as Cyril Ramaphosa, the man. Suffice to say that as South Africans were never humiliated, and a buoyant, confident and unshaken Cyril Ramaphosa in that brief doorstop that we did with him at the U.S. Embassy. But in the next couple of hours, things could change. I don't know if the threats that are being made by Musk's team are anything to be taken seriously, but I can say that there is an indication from some in the South African delegation that a deal has already been sealed. Whether or not that's just verbally or in writing, we'll continue to get a better sense. And of course, by tomorrow morning, we'll know whether or not all of those things have been finalized.
Great place for us to close things off. There's Ziyanda Ngcobo speaking to us from Washington, D.C. Tomorrow, we, of course, will be live as we watch that meeting, and she's bringing us the blow-by-blow. So stay with us here on Newzroom Afrika.